the Celebration Bowl, and a lot more right after this.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome to Community Watch, Greg.
Uh,
Oh, it's one of those.
It's one of those shows. It's one of those shows, yes.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited.
Is it because we're talking football?
No, because I'm not a huge sports fan, as you know, but I am a huge HBCU fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge John Grant fan, and I'm a huge 100 fan. And all of this kind of ties into today's show. So I'm a huge fan of the success and the mentoring and things of that nature. And I think the Celebration Bowl speaks to that.
Well, I guess as usual, I'm less in the know than you, as is true with most topics.
With this topic, yes, I would say this is true. But no, we're going to be talking to...
So you'll have to teach me today.
Well, we'll be talking to John Grant, who is the CEO of the Celebration Bowl. He was a former CEO of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta, and I consider him a personal mentor. Mm-hmm. And so we was fortunate to have him come from Atlanta and talk about a new endeavor that he's working on that has greater impact than just football.
Well, I know enough about this to know that it's going to be a very interesting discussion. And you can join us too with our guest who'll be with us right after this, so don't go away.
I'm transferring to the University of West Georgia.
Columbia University.
Kennesaw State.
UGA. Loyola University in Chicago.
Grambling State.
Shorter University. I'm going to Greensboro College, and we all got our start at Georgia Highlands.
No matter where your educational journey takes you, you can get your start at Georgia Highlands College. Georgia Highlands College. Enroll, engage, excel.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we're very happy to have with us today John Grant. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I need to know more about the Celebration Bowl, and I'm not sure exactly where to begin, but if you could start really just by telling us what it is, and then I guess we'll go from there.
Well, the Celebration Bowl is puts together the champion from the Mideast Athletic Conference versus the champion from the Southwest Athletic Conference. Those are the two Division I HBCU conference, FCS conferences. They're foregoing sending their champions to the NCAA playoffs. Instead, they're going to send their champions to this bowl game, which literally creates a national championship for historically black colleges and universities. They've never had a national championship before. There've never been this kind of bowl game, this kind of national championship, this kind of bowl game between these two huge conferences. So the Celebration Bowl, owned and operated by ESPN, will give a platform for these two fine conferences to showcase, their talent on the field, but also more than that, what historically black colleges and universities provide as assets to our country. So that's what the Celebration Bowl will be, December 19th in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hold on. But see, I didn't know this. I knew it was the Celebration Bowl, but I didn't know that we affectionately say from the HBCU community, the MEAC and the SWAC, I didn't know they was foregoing their bowl appearances. And so they're actually competing now for basically a national champion
Yes.
of the HBC community against 2 Division I conferences.
Yes, we have also, we're paying each of the participating schools and conferences $1 million each to participate in this bowl game. So it's been in conversation over the last 10 years. We were fortunate that the college chancellors and presidents and CEOs voted this year to forego the national, to the NCAA playoffs. The MEAC still has the option to send their second place team, but the champion will participate in this bowl game in Atlanta. And the great thing about it is, 123 years ago this year, the first HBCU football game was played, Livingston College against a college called Biddle College, now Johnson C. Smith, on the front lawn of Livingston's campus. They made a football field on the front lawn of the campus. The students of the textile department made the uniforms for them, and hence they played on a snowy day just outside of Charlotte, the first football game with a 5-0 score. So we're fortunate that 123 years later, we're able to put on, honoring their legacy, the first major bowl game, which, as I indicated, is December 19th, is the first day of the college football bowl season. So the Celebration Bowl is the first game on the first day of the bowl season, which is December 19th. So people will have been without college football for a couple of weeks. We like to think that college football regular season ends with the SEC championship, which is also played in Atlanta, but on December 5th. But then 2 weeks later, on December the 19th, the Celebration Bowl opens up the college football season with a championship game in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Georgia Dome.
Well, help me understand what it was about this particular game that made the participants want to give up the NCAA option for this. I mean, what makes this that special for them that they would do that?
Well, it's economics. Quite frankly, going to the playoffs for most schools in the FCS is a losing economic proposition. You either break even or you lose money. As a matter of fact, and then it's difficult to host the games because normally you're traveling, up north to Iowa and North Dakota, et cetera. And 1 year Bethune-Cookman actually hosted a national championship game, and as the home team, they lost money. So it's economics. The economics, when you look at it, quite frankly, for a lot of schools in the playoffs, they get great visibility for going, but economically, it's not necessarily the best thing for the institution. So in this case, and that's not in all cases, in some cases, but in this case, it just made sense for the institutions to participate in the Celebration Bowl because of the economics of it, number one. Number two, I mean, where to get to play for a national championship is ideal in itself, and then to have this relationship with ESPN to put this, not only this game, but we're broadcasting 16 regular season games leading into the Celebration Bowl, broadcasting those during the regular season, sort of heightening what this bowl game means. So there's a lot involved with the exposure for the institutions, the economics of it for the participating schools and conferences, and really the ability to showcase, again, not just the talent on the field, but what these institutions are able to provide from an educational platform for many, many people that, that maybe would not get an opportunity to go to school.
I guess and I appreciate Greg holding back for a minute, because once he gets started, I might as well just take a nap. But the way you describe it as a championship game makes me wonder what took so long. Why hasn't something like this existed before?
Well, there have been iterations over the years. For instance, there was an initial try at something called the Pelican Bowl back in the early 60s. It lasted for about 3 years. The SWAC against the MEAC, first game was played on in Durham, North Carolina. Grambling took on North Carolina Central University in Durham. But the game, it didn't happen the second year because it wasn't sanctioned by the NCAA. And so when they finally got the sanctions the third year, it was played at Tulane Stadium in New Orleans. And then by year 3, with the advent of the Bayou Classic, it just went defunct. So there was an attempt there. There was something at one point called the Orange Blossom Classic, but it was unofficial. And then you had the Heritage Bowl more recently. The Heritage Bowl was set up as somewhat of a national championship, but they never got the top 2 teams because they were sending their teams to the NCAA. So they always had either the second or third tier team. So it never really evolved into true championship. In this case, we have a 6-year agreement with the conferences with a 4-year option to actually send the conference champions to this bowl game and to be played in Atlanta. In 2017, we move into the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So we have a partnership with the Atlanta Falcons, who are partnered in this with us, along with the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. And their role is to connect the community to the bowl with community events that they put on. And of course, ESPN and the conferences make up this 4-legged stool for the Celebration Bowl.
Wow.
Go ahead.
He's doing quite well, isn't he?
Yeah,
I like this.
Well, I'm just setting the table. I'm just setting the table. So.
That's why we work well together. Man. I'm just go ahead, because you definitely asked some questions I wouldn't ask. So go ahead.
Well, this is the first time I heard the new stadium called the Mercedes-Benz Bowl Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that.
Yes.
So that's something I had to register for a minute. Okay. The 2 teams, one from each of these conferences that will compete, how soon will we know who those teams are?
Wow, that's a great question, because it's been, it's in both conferences. We follow it obviously each week, and it's been back and forth sort of competitive battles to get to the Celebration Bowl, as we call it, the road to Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl. But if you look at the Mideast Athletic Conference, and let me take a moment to describe the conferences to your viewers. The Mideast Athletic Conference consists of schools starting in Delaware. You have Delaware State in Delaware. You move down to Maryland, you have Maryland Eastern Shore, Morgan State, and Coppin State in Maryland. From there, you got down into Washington, D.C. with Howard University. In Virginia, you have Hampton University and Norfolk State. You move into North Carolina with North Carolina Central University in Durham and North Carolina A&T in Greensboro. Down in Georgia, you have Savannah State in Savannah, Georgia. And then in Florida, you have Florida A&M in Tallahassee and Bethune-Cookman down in Florida as well. That's the Mideast Athletic Conference. For the Southwest Athletic Conference, you start in Huntsville with Alabama A&M, down to Montgomery with Alabama State University. You move over to Arkansas, and you have the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Down into Mississippi, you've got Jackson State University, Mississippi Valley, and Alcorn University in the state of Mississippi. You move over to Louisiana, and you have Southern University and Grambling University. And then in Texas, you have Prairie View and Texas Southern University. That's the Southwest Athletic Conference. And if you look at it on a map, those two conferences, Atlanta sits sort of right in the middle of the two. So it made this city, made Atlanta just a natural as far as a destination. And also, Atlanta is the home of more alumni chapters and alumnus of HBCUs than any other city in the nation. So it was just a perfect location to host this bowl game.
We got to take a break.
Okay.
But we will be right back with a lot more. Do not go away.
$7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
College football, this is awesome. You're starting out with a bang in HBCU with this game. Pageantry. Hyped up coaches. Some heat from around the blind side. He's got a man out there. Caught! Conference pride on the line. 10-5 touchdown. Intercepted. He's off to the races. Into the end zone, touchdown. That's all part of HBCU football. Oh my goodness! There goes Betzel. The blind side. Third sack of the day. What a gutsy call! No flag, touchdown. South Carolina State could score. He's got blocking, touchdown. Take it to zeros and it's over.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're talking with John Grant about the Celebration Bowl, and you just watched a pretty impressive ad, not just for the game, but to encourage people to come to Atlanta for the experience. That's great. That's a wonderful. I mean, I think that's great. I love that.
That's what they do.
Yeah, I know. So you were telling us about the conferences, and while you were describing them, it made me think they're huge. These conferences are huge.
Yes.
I'm used to like little bitty conferences like the SEC.
Well, compared to the SEC, it was probably a little bitty conference. That was a little bit. But in terms of when you think about competitive sport and specifically college football, the Mideast Athletic Conference and the Southwest Athletic Conference are the two largest conferences in the HBCU arena as Division I AA conferences. And so as members of the FCS conference community, they do represent some of the best of what student athletes have to offer at the FCS level. 'Cause right now, North Carolina A&T is ranked number 19. So if you look at the top 30 schools ranked in the FCS, you have 4 of the schools from these two conferences ranked in the top 30 in the nation. So with North Carolina A&T, who's currently undefeated in the MEAC, as we call it, and then Grambling is undefeated in the SWAC. Those are the two undefeated schools that are playing right. But everyone else that's vying have only one loss this year.
So at this point, we've got three games left?
Yes.
So a lot could happen.
A lot can happen. Although there are some schools that are not in the running to be in the Celebration Bowl, now you become a spoiler. So everyone still has something to play for. And so these student athletes are going out every week. I mean, they're playing very hard, and you can see that the coaching staffs are committed to them bringing the best of what they have to offer to the field each week. And it's very exciting. I just attended a game this past weekend in South Carolina where North Carolina A&T took on the Aggies took on the South Carolina State Bulldogs in a must-win game for South Carolina to stay in the running. You're talking about a tough game, defensive game, the final score being 6-9. And South Carolina State lost by missing a field goal for about 35 yards. Young man just hooked the ball with 0 time on the clock to take the game into overtime. So it was a hard-fought battle between two rivals, universities, their rivals, in a big game that was a must-win for both of them. Because if A&T had lost, then it threw the whole thing up, and you would have had a 4-way tie right now for the lead. So right now you still have them being undefeated with two single-loss universities, hot on their heels.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
December 19th.
Yes.
That's coming up pretty soon.
Yes.
So is it too soon for people to make plans or buy tickets to?
Absolutely not. Right now is when you want to be involved, because really this is more than the teams. The teams are coming out to represent their conference. This is a real conference rivalry. This rivalry has existed between these two conferences for many, many years. I mean, you can probably look at, when you look at Division I-A football, where there are some major rivalries among conferences. One that we can, look at with the Chick-fil-A kickoff game, or the Chick-fil-A Bowl, that used to pit the SEC versus the ACC. I mean, that's evolved a little bit now since they're a part of the playoff system. But, those are two rival conferences that no matter when you were there or what schools were there, conference members showed up. This is the same case. So, tickets are on sale now. We're asking people to go ahead and make your plans. What better place to be than Atlanta on December 19th for the Celebration Bowl? We're also known for some great shopping in that city. So that's what we're really hoping, that people will come and just, really root on these whatever two fine institutions come out to represent their conference.
And there's always great stuff to do in Atlanta, but right around the holidays like that, there are a lot of special things going on too.
A lot of special things happening. We're doing some things as well around the weekend to make it festive for the fans. And if you want to consider this will be like the Super Bowl for these two conferences and the fans who come to town. A spectacle that we want to put on that will be entertaining, provide all that Atlanta has to offer, and really make it enjoyable for the fans and families. This is a very family-friendly event that we're making, including pricing tickets so that it's affordable for everyone, from $15 up to $60. So you can bring a family of 4 and buy a family pack and have end-zone seats. We really wanted to make it so that everyone could come.
And really, they ought to plan to stay for a few days to enjoy the city.
Absolutely. Yeah. As you mentioned, there's a lot to do. Atlanta's a beautiful city during the holiday season. And, most people are going to be off anyway that last week before Christmas, which is the following Saturday, the holidays that everyone celebrates, whatever holiday you celebrate, will be in that window. So we're really excited about the timing.
Yeah. Well, I'm not, but because I was supposed to, that's the family time to go to Ohio, but I can't go to Ohio because I got to go to Celebration Bowl. So that's causing some conflict in my house. But hey,
I have been to Ohio. It doesn't take you that long to do Ohio.
But I have to say what I'm so excited about, because I'm a Morehouse man, which is not in the SWAC or the MEAC, but I think for the thousands of young African American students who come to this bowl, to see so many college graduates, alums of the college, to be in that environment that the Atlanta Football Classic created, to have so many young people in an environment of education. Football may be the drawing point, but you're going to see people from many colleges, HBCUs there, and other colleges there. And I just think that's always great, because the motto of the 100 is what they see is what they'll be. To take young students who may not even be aware of HBCUs, and then to put them in a very peaceful sisterhood, brotherhood spirit, to me is always so powerful, because I want young kids in Rome, Georgia to see that, because we don't have, predominantly black schools here. But I want them to see these athletes and see the love and passion for these schools. This is something you don't get to see every day, especially from small communities outside of Atlanta.
Well, the interesting thing you mentioned about that, everyone in the Georgia Dome on December 19th will be a part of history, because this has never happened. So we're certainly, encouraging everyone to be there. But if you're bringing young people, there are a number of things in our relationship with the 100. That's why I said connecting with the community, male youth symposiums. They're going to be featuring some newly released films. To them, we have college fairs. We have a robotics showcase and invitational that will go on. So the things that we've done historically, the 100 around the Atlanta Football Classic, have now been moved to surround the Celebration Bowl.
And we'll get into that in the next segment. So
right.
Just save the questions for that.
Okay.
I saw you going there.
Well, there are a lot of places to go. I was trying to decide where to go. Sort of like in football, you got to decide where you're going to go. Well, it sounds like a spectacular event that's really much larger than a football game, even a championship game. It's just much larger. So we are coming up on a break here. When we come back, one thing I definitely want to do is give the website so people can get more information. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been having a conversation with John Grant about the Celebration Bowl, first ever in Atlanta on December 19th. What time of day?
It's 12 noon.
12 noon.
We kick off at, I like to describe it this way. It's like the Earps and the Clantons meeting at the OK Corral at high noon. So you got the MEAC and the SWAC conferences meeting in the Georgia Dome at high noon on December the 19th.
And for more information, you should go to this website, www.thecelebrationbowl.com. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time on Community Watch.